Honorable Mengech, maybe before you can go to motions, I just needed to seek a clarification. Honorable Komen, I don't know if you were able to address the statement sought by Honorable Fred. Was that dispensed with last week?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Yeah, it was addressed and dispensed of last week.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I wish to move a motion on establishment of county border unit. Honorable Speaker, aware that border is an activity that provides livelihoods for millions of Kenyans and that the sector plays an important role in transport and promotion of Kenyan economy. Further aware that at the moment, most riders do not own commercial motor.
These riders, again, in the long run, they actually do a lot of careless riding, endangering the lives of many. You find that in most cases, due to the sector not being well regulated, they're actually the ones who, in most cases, you would find them overtaking from the left side of the road, and thereby endangering motorists, the pedestrians who are crossing the road, and hence they cause a lot of problems to so many. I do recall an incident that happened about 2 weeks ago, just at the entry of governor's office along the road. A motor rider knocked onto a vehicle, and immediately, instead of even stopping to be sorry and for the regulation to take place, so because when accidents happen, the police and everybody else will actually come on site and see the extent of damage and the liabilities being placed on the border rider reversed and took off, which means actually they are not ready for them to really shoulder their burden in terms of their careless riding. I therefore support this motion and say that let the sector be regulated within our county for purposes of security and safety, and our people to get the best services offered by the border riders. So I do support. Thank you.
Honorable Kirongo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'll begin by appreciating Honorable Mengech for such a motion. Mr. Speaker, these border riders are our brothers, of course, our voters, and we need to train them, Mr. Speaker, so that at least they have actually discipline when they are doing their work. Mr. Speaker, I think this county needs to budget for the same for the trainings. They are the same guys, Mr. Speaker, whom the county collect revenue from them. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, as county assembly, we will be ready, even in future, to budget for the same, so that the county government will have at least the budget to train these borders. Of course, Mr. Speaker, we must appreciate them because they are doing great job in this county. These are the people who, most of the people depend on them. So, Mr. Speaker, I have stood and appreciate this motion. How I wish that the departmental committee ensures that any time that we have budget for the same. Mr. Speaker, I support the motion. Thank you.
Honorable Walter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also rise to support the motion by Honorable Mengech. And I think this motion is It's long overdue, Honorable Speaker, especially that we have only the remaining one financial year before we end our term, Honorable Speaker. But we can use the remaining period in establishing this unit, Honorable Speaker, so that it can cushion our porta writers, Honorable Speaker, which I only know that it is the largest employment opportunity for our youth, Honorable Speaker. And number two, Honorable Speaker, when you look at how this motion has been drafted by...
But holistically, including even financial management for this important sector. I think all of us, we know this team. This is a very important sector of the economy. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, they toil so much during the day. But as the sun sets, they rush to, some of them rush to some dens to drink.
I think for a long time we have been having a lot of border issues, and border is a very productive sector. It is a sector that has provided jobs for our youth and older persons, and it is one of the biggest sources of our revenue and well-being of our people. And Honorable Speaker, the same sector is the one that has caused a lot of accidents each and every other time. And when you hear criminals or criminal actions happening, Honorable Speaker, there's a very high possibility that it was a border operated or it had something to do with the border, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, I remember in 2016, while I was coming from Nairobi of matatus to Kapsabet, and I think along the way in Lesotho I slept, and of course the border home from the border person. And because I was feeling a bit unsafe, I read the number plate of the border. And I had 1,000 shillings note. It was the only money I had between me and poverty. I was hell broke. And at this point he says, let us look for some change because it is at night, we might not find the change. The moment I gave him the 1,000 bob, Honorable Speaker, he just decided to take off and said, you wouldn't do a thing, which was true, Honorable Speaker, because as much as I have the number plate, we do not have an organized system where we can be able to report such cases with a number plate for it to be traced. So, Honorable Speaker, I support this motion in totality so that we can be able to have the borders in a manageable, organized group. I have to say, the borders guys are very organized. I have one of the persons who manage to chairs the border stages in town. He chairs the one at Barclays Bank. And they are very organized people. The only problem they have is they do not have a general umbrella that actually brings them all together for their lives. There are people who really wish they could be able to do something better in their lives and be able to benefit from this border riding. And Honorable Speaker, I think this will also be a very good protection method, especially for people who are, you find that there are a lot of complaints between them and those who ride the borders for them, Honorable Speaker. So I think this is a very good motion so that we can be able to organize them. And Honorable Speaker, it will be a very good platform so that they are able to be trained. Because the kind of things and how they operate on the road, Honorable Speaker, you look at them and you ask them, don't these people have children at home? Don't they have someone who depend on them? Such that they operate on the roads. So I don't know, I don't even know what term to use to explain how badly they behave while on the road. So, Honorable Speaker, I totally support this motion, and I hope it can be implemented in the shortest time possible, Honorable Speaker, so that we can be able to save the situation in this county.
Honorable Kevolwe.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipa nafasi hii niweze kujadili. Kwanza nitaunga Mheshimiwa Emmanuel Rono kwa kutoa mjadala huu ambao ni wa maana sana hasa kwa vijana ambao sekta ya bodaboda inahusika. Mheshimiwa Spika, ningeunga mkono hiki kitengo cha bodaboda kiweze kubuniwa katika eneo letu hili. Mheshimiwa Spika, hawa vijana ambao wanafanya bodaboda ni vijana ambao ukiangalia hasa wengi wao hata muhula huu wakati shule zimeenda likizoni kwa ajili ya COVID-19, utakuta wengi wao ndio wameenda kuanza kuendesha hizi pikipiki, na wengi hawajui kabisa hasa sheria ni gani ambayo ya kufuata. Ukiona Mheshimiwa Spika, serikali yetu inajali sana wazee, inajali wamama na imesahau vijana. Sababu tukimaliza vijana kutakuwa na wazee, na pia wazee pia wanahitajika. Sasa utakuta ya kwamba wameweza kutoa hata kadi ya NHIF inasaidia wazee, na wamesahau kutoa hata kadi ya NHIF isaidie vijana. Kwa hivyo langu nikichangia ni kwamba ingekuwa bora kama hawa vijana pia wangeweza kupewa nafasi, serikali itoe hata % fulani ya kusaidia hawa vijana bodaboda waweze kuwa na hiyo kadi, maana hiyo kadi ni ya maana sana. Wakikosa, tunarudi viongozi wanawajibika kuanza kufanya maharambe, na labda mtu hata amevunjika miguu zote mbili na mikono. Saa zingine hata unaweza kuta amejeruhiwa spinal cord yake, uti wa mgongo hauko. Kwa hivyo Mheshimiwa Spika, ingekuwa vizuri hawa vijana waweze kupewa hiyo nafasi, waweze pia kupewa hiyo pesa, ziweze kutengwa, ziweze kuwasaidia. Na hiki kitengo ambacho kinaweza kuwa ni vizuri nacho kiwajibike, waweze kunakili number plate za kila pikipiki, ili iwepo kuna ukora inajulikana ni fulani. Na wale vijana ambao wanafanya, yafaa wale wanaendesha pikipiki wawe ni wale vijana ambao wamehitimu umri wa miaka 18, wenye wamechukua kitambulisho ndio waweze kuingia katika huduma ya kuendesha.
Are supposed to be empowered and trained. Reason, we have accidents every now and then due to these people. They are not trained. You find somebody being trained today by untrained boda. Tomorrow, you'll find him carrying 3 people, where it leads to accidents. We have lost many lives of these young people due to lack of training. We have to train them and also empower through circles, whereby they look at their livelihood or income generating. You find in our rural areas, these boda are very important because they transfer goods from farms or from women who are planting vegetables or horticulture crops to the market. Without these people, nothing is going on in rural areas. So we have to support these boda people so that our county will come up through even revenue collection. So I really support this motion. Thank you.
Honorable Terry.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to stand here and strongly support this motion by Mengage. It's true that the boda business cannot be overlooked, considering the fact that it's actually giving a serious job opportunity to many residents of this county, and being a sole livelihood for many of them. It's also true that it's very convenient for the clients who use these boda machines to travel, because right now when the roads are very bad, the only means that is very reliable is the border border. Unfortunately, it has a lot of risks ranging from accidents to even fatal crime issues that can easily be perpetrated to the clients by the riders, because we trust, or the clients trust anyone to take them to where they are going, not knowing who they are and what capabilities they have. So by establishing a border unit, we can curb most of these issues that come along with these border riders. You realize that when chicken has stolen in the village, you will hear that someone had a border at midnight. It's possible that the same perpetrated. Again, they are also risking their lives. Most of them have been killed and they are the motorcycle stolen. So by establishing a unit, it will somehow provide safety, well-being, training, and capping even on the age limit of the riders. My first motion when we came to this second assembly after devolution was capping on the age of the border riders. Unfortunately, implementation has remained a serious and undoing, Honorable Speaker. I really hope when such a motion comes, at least if they are implemented, we will safeguard our society. So in a way, I believe when the unit is established, there can be some way of formal agreement between the motor bicycle owner, the rider, and the unit, so that even a form of registration number may be given for the rider, so that provided by the clients. You remember just Honorable Cynthia, the ordeal that she went through with a border rider, the one who took her only 1,000 shillings that she had. If there was a number attack on the rider that has been established up to the unit itself, the same could not do anything. They cannot actually harm the clients when they know they are known. So we really need to establish this unit for two reasons: the well-being of the rider and the client. Also, some form of saving can be established for these riders, because you realize one can remain on the road riding motorcycles for as long as 5, 6, 10 years. You can imagine that cold without proper dressing. I'm sure, in a way, their lifespan are somehow cut short. So we really need to establish this so that at least they can save something every day, and in the long run can even establish a better business than this one of border riding. The same unit will come up with kiosks that will protect the riders together with the clients in form of some sort of umbrellas. So, Honorable Speaker, I really support and hope that the motion will be tailor-made to cover or to have all this safety of the rider and the client in a way. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Sanga, finally.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. I also stand to thank Honorable Mengech and support him for this noble idea. I think it has come at the right time that needs to be implemented as soon as possible. You know, border sector, Honorable Speaker, plays a very important role in economic development of this country, especially in employment of our youths. Since it was introduced in Kenya by the government of Kibaki, you have seen it has got a lot of impacts. However, there are challenges that comes with it. So having an organized unit will help to streamline the issues in the sector. I really support issues of training
for boda guys, and also provision of safety and protective cares to them. You know, most of these guys, they come from very poor ground. Some of them just get boda, they train for less than a day, and they are already drivers because they don't have money to go for training schools. So training them even in large scale or in large numbers, it helps to reduce the cost. It will be at the cost effective when we train in masses. I also support issue what the Honorable Terry has raised. Boda has come with issues. Most of the insecurity cases we have around, they usually point fingers at boda, that the criminals are using bodas. So we really need an organized unit so that we can register and tag all our boda. You will know this boda is coming from Imaki, this boda is coming from Lesos, this is from Jeptirwai, so that it can reduce cases of insecurity. And in case an incident happens, it is easy to trace. Otherwise, when we have such a unit youths, you can have our youths having a boda, but side to that, because of their organization, they have economic empowerment. They can be able even to buy fleets of buses. They can be owning buses, operating even up to the city. They can also be able to buy plots and come up with rentals when we empower them economically. Otherwise, when we have such organization, organized groups, it will attract other partners, including banks, NGOs, institutions, and government agencies to come together so that we can assist each other to empower our boda guys. Otherwise, I support the motion. Thank you so much.
Honorable Hillary.
Like my colleagues, Mr. Speaker, I support the motion by the Honorable Mengej, member for the establish this boda units. Mr. Speaker, for the purposes of streamlining the boda industry. It is true, Mr. Speaker, that boda has become the most reliable and the most convenient means of transport. Currently, Mr. Speaker, the other day when we went to Uganda, in Kampala city, where we have a lot of traffic jam, the only available means that can ensure that you cross the town very fast to maneuver the town is the boda. Now, Mr. Speaker, domesticating here and making it valuable to us and adding value is surely by establishing the units that Honorable Mengej has brought in. With the issues of our roads, which sometimes become impassable, boda has become a refuge or a resort, the last resort in terms of transport, even in the rural areas. So it is time for sure that we make this industry a better industry. In fact, the issues of accidents will be reduced when we have a unit that can train these youths and a unit that can be can become accountable at the end of the day. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to join my colleagues in supporting and to appreciate my friend and colleague, Honorable Mengej, for coming up with the motion. Mr. Speaker, I support. Thank you.
Honorable members, judging by the mood of the House, therefore, Honorable Mengej, you wanted to give our last right of reply?
Yeah, just something small, Honorable Speaker. I wish to appreciate members. Honorable Speaker, in the spirit of this motion, I'm looking at what members have said, and I wish the implementing body, the execution of the motion, could look at developing a database for boda, so that we have the ownership in the database, we have the rider's name, we have the location. As Honorable Sanga said, we also have area of operation. Because, Honorable Speaker, in 2016, I had traveled from Mombasa, where I was working. And when I alighted, the first person who met me was a boda rider. Honorable Speaker, the next morning, just before I woke up, I am alerted that a certain boda rider had been killed and his body had been dumped in a quarry not far from our place. So I took a walk to the quarry. And here was the man who made me fast when I landed from Mombasa. He had just been killed, his skull had been broken, and his motorbike had been stolen. I have never forgotten that neighbor of mine, whose name I will not be able to say now. Honorable Speaker, if we are able to develop a tracking system, if the implementing body can be able to develop a database and a tracking system for all border, label well tracking system where you can trace using ICT where each motorbike is, I wish to appreciate the members. And as Honorable Cynthia said, whether she's been asking herself whether those riders have children. If we can create a law so that we only have people not above 18, as Honorable Kavolwa said. You know, people who don't have families have nothing to lose. If we can up the limit, age limit to 25, the lower limit, so that we can have people who have something to lose, so that they can protect their lives and their passengers. Lastly, Honorable Speaker, the main issue is to have these people save money. I have been given an example, Honorable Speaker, of Nabosa. This is a boda circle in Nanyuki, which was started in 2011. Currently, each of the 120 members has a housing unit because they were saving 50 shillings a day. So the issue of SACCO, I'm looking forward to it that they establish. Lastly, Honorable Speaker, implementation. Honorable Speaker, this is where the elephant is. I cannot forget that Honorable Terry came with a motion. I cannot forget that Honorable Fred, there is a motion that Honorable Fred came on the same issue of boda. For example, the Honorable Fred's motion was touching on the issue of carrying luggage, not extending 15 centimeters from either side of the boda. On the road, these guys are carrying timber as long as 10 meters. They are carrying sofa sets, they are carrying mabati of 3 meters, endangering lives of everyone on the road. Honorable Speaker, the main undoing that we have, I have looked at all the motions that we have passed. The sickness is in the implementation. Honorable Chair, Honorable Speaker, where you sit, this is an issue that we must address just before we exit this second assembly. Thank you. Thank you, member.
Honorable members, I therefore wish to put a question on the motion on establishment of county boda units by Honorable Emmanuel Rono, that this House resolves that the CEC members responsible for trade, industrialization and administration and e-government approve the establishment of the county boda unit, and the mandate has been stated. Will as many as of a similar opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.